Ma'am, nobody carries that much cash at 1:30 in the morning unless they're into something illegal.
Carrying cash is not a crime. Your assumptions are.
Turn around, hands behind your back. Don't make this worse.
You're crossing a line right now, and this camera is watching you do it.
A woman walks into a fancy hotel on a cold December night in 2019. She has cash in her bag, a lot of cash. She pulls some of it out at the front desk to pay for her room. The woman behind the counter sees the money and her eyes go wide. Within minutes, she picks up a phone and dials 911. What she does not know is that she just called the cops on the head of FBI operations. What happens next will destroy careers, shut down a business, and leave one police officer wishing he had just stayed home that night. Before I continue, where are you watching this from? Drop your location in the comments. And if you are new here, please hit that subscribe button right now. You do not want to miss what happens next because this story gets way more intense. The date was December 10th, 2019. The timestamp on the body camera would later show 01:40 in the morning, but the events that led to that moment started hours earlier. Natalia W. Woodruff had been working non-stop for 3 months straight. She was 37 years old. She was a black woman who had climbed all the way to the top of one of the most powerful law enforcement agencies in the entire country. She was the head of FBI operations in her region, not an assistant, not a deputy, the head. The person who gave orders, the person who signed off on raids, the person who decided which cases moved forward and which ones got dropped. But on this particular night, Natalia was off duty. She was not working any case. She was not on any assignment. She was simply a woman who wanted to check into a nice hotel and get some rest. She had been dealing with family matters. An aunt had passed away a few weeks earlier and left her some money. Natalia had gone to the bank earlier that day and withdrawn a large amount of cash because she was planning to help some relatives who did not have bank accounts. This was her personal money, her own funds, nothing to do with the FBI, nothing to do with any operation. She walked into the lobby of the Grandview Hotel at around 11:30 that night. The hotel was supposed to be upscale, clean, professional, the kind of place where a person could feel safe and comfortable. Natalia approached the front desk where a woman named Judy Myers was working the night shift. Judy watched Natalia walk up. She watched her pull out her wallet. She watched her reach into her bag. And then she saw it. A thick stack of bills, $100 bills, more money than Judy had ever seen in one place. Now, here is where things could have gone differently. Judy could have simply asked a polite question. She could have said something simple like asking if Natalia wanted to use a credit card instead. She could have made small talk. She could have done what any normal hotel worker would do when a customer is paying for a room. But she did not do any of those things. Instead, Judy stared at the money. Then she stared at Natalia. Then she looked at the money again. Something clicked in her head. A black woman late at night alone with a big stack of cash. In Judy's mind, this combination added up to something suspicious. Natalia paid for her room without any problems. She got her room key. She thanked Judy and walked toward the elevator. She had no idea what was about to happen. The moment Natalia disappeared around the corner, Judy picked up the phone. She dialed 911. She told the operator that there was a suspicious woman at the hotel who had a large amount of cash and that it might be connected to illegal activity. She gave them a description, a black woman, short hair, gray hoodie. The operator asked Judy if she had seen any actual crime being committed. Judy said no. The operator asked if the woman had threatened anyone. Judy said no. The operator asked if Judy had any real evidence that a crime was happening. Again, Judy said no, but the call was made. And once a 911 call is made, officers have to respond. It is their job. They have to at least check things out. 2 police officers were dispatched to the Grandview Hotel. The first was a man named Paul Kuiper. He had been on the force for about 8 years. He had a reputation. Some people said he was aggressive. Some people said he jumped to conclusions. Some people said worse things about him when no supervisors were around. The second officer was Carlos Suits. He was newer to the job, more careful, more by the book. He was wearing the body camera that night. That camera would record everything that happened. Type body cam in the comments if you think body cameras should be required for every single police officer in America. The two officers arrived at the hotel around 1:30 in the morning. Judy met them in the lobby. She told them what she saw. A woman with a lot of cash. She said she found it suspicious. She said she thought something might be going on. Paul Kuiper nodded along. He did not ask many questions. He did not seem interested in hearing that carrying cash is not a crime. He just wanted the room number. Judy gave it to him, room 412. The officers took the elevator up to the 4th floor. They walked down the hallway with the blue patterned carpet. They found room 412. Paul Kuiper knocked on the door hard. It was the kind of knock that wakes you up even if you are in a deep sleep. He knocked again louder this time. Inside the room, Natalia had just started to drift off to sleep. She had changed into comfortable clothes. Her gray hoodie was unzipped over a green top. She was tired. She wanted rest. And now someone was pounding on her door in the middle of the night. She got up and opened the door. 2 police officers stood in the hallway. She was confused. She had not done anything wrong. She had not called for help. She had not heard any disturbance. She did not understand why they were there. Paul Kuiper told her that they had received a call about suspicious activity. He said they needed to come inside and ask her some questions. Natalia knew her rights. She knew she did not have to let them in, but she also knew that refusing could make things worse. She was a law enforcement professional herself. She understood how these situations could go sideways, so she stepped back and let them enter. The room was normal. Olive green walls, white thermostat on the wall, a smoke detector on the ceiling, a bed with white sheets and a dark headboard. Nothing unusual, nothing suspicious, just a regular hotel room. Natalia sat down on the edge of the bed. She was calm. She was not nervous because she had nothing to hide. She was just annoyed, very annoyed. She had been looking forward to sleeping, and now she was dealing with this. Paul Kuiper started asking questions. He wanted to know why she was at the hotel so late. He wanted to know where the cash came from. He wanted to know what she did for a living. Natalia answered every question. She told him she was off duty. She told him she worked in federal operations. She told him the cash was her personal money from a family matter. But Paul did not seem satisfied with her answers. He kept pushing. He made comments that felt loaded. He suggested that people do not usually carry that much cash unless they are involved in something special. He said the word special in a way that made his meaning very clear. He was implying that she might be a drug dealer or a prostitute or something else he was not brave enough to say out loud. Carlos Suits stood near the bathroom door. His body camera was recording everything. The timestamp in the corner showed 01:40:54. The footage was slightly grainy. The lighting was harsh from the hotel room lamps. Every word, every movement, every expression, all of it was being captured. Natalia stayed calm, even though she was getting more frustrated by the second. She reminded Paul that carrying cash is legal. She told him there was nothing suspicious about spending her own money. She explained that she had already answered all his questions downstairs when she checked in. Paul did not like her tone. He did not like that she was not acting scared. He did not like that she seemed confident. In his experience, people were supposed to be nervous when police showed up. They were supposed to stutter and fumble and look guilty. But Natalia did none of those things. She just sat there calm, composed, looking at him like she knew something he did not. And she did know something. She knew that she outranked him in every possible way. She knew that one phone call from her could have his supervisor on the line. She knew that the badge in her bag carried more weight than his ever would. But she did not say any of this, not yet. She wanted to see how far he would go. Do you think Natalia should have told him who she was right away? Type yes or no in the comments. Paul kept pushing. He told Natalia to stand up. She asked him why. He said because he was asking her to. She asked what legal reason he had to make her stand. He told her that refusal would be noted as non-compliance. He told her not to make this harder than it needed to be. Natalia sighed. She stood up slowly. She knew where this was going. She had seen it before. She had read reports about situations just like this one. She had trained officers to avoid exactly this kind of behavior, and now she was experiencing it herself. Paul told her to turn around. She did. He told her to put her hands behind her back. She felt the cold metal of handcuffs close around her wrists. The click sound was sharp in the quiet room. The body camera recorded it clearly. Natalia told Paul that he was making a serious mistake. He said, "People make mistakes when they dodge questions." She said officers make bigger mistakes when they let bias replace procedure. He told her to stop talking. She told him he was very wrong about that. Carlos Sweets was uncomfortable. He could feel that something was off. His partner was not following proper procedure. There was no probable cause for an arrest. There was no evidence of any crime. A woman had paid for a hotel room with cash. That was it. That was the entire basis for everything that was happening. But Carlos did not say anything. He stood by the bathroom door and let his body camera keep recording. He would later say that he wanted to stop things, but felt he could not speak up against his senior partner in the moment. That decision would save his job when everything fell apart. Paul walked Natalia out of the room and down the hallway. He put her in the back of his patrol car. He told her she was being detained for further questioning. She did not resist. She did not yell. She just looked at him with an expression that he did not understand at the time. It was the look of someone who knew exactly what was about to happen next. At the station, things started to fall apart very quickly. Natalia requested to make a phone call. That is a right every detained person has. She made her call. The person on the other end picked up. It was someone high up in the federal system, someone who could make things happen with just a few words. Within an hour, everything changed. Phone calls started coming into the police station. Important phone calls. The kind of calls that make desk sergeants sit up straight in their chairs. The kind of calls that make captains cancel their plans and drive to the station in the middle of the night. The kind of calls that end careers. Paul Kuiper was pulled aside by his supervisor. He was asked to explain exactly what had happened at the hotel. He told his version of events. He said there was a suspicious person with a lot of cash. He said she was evasive and uncooperative. He said he detained her for further investigation. Then his supervisor asked him one simple question. Did he know who Natalia W. Woodruff was? Paul said no. His supervisor told him, and the color drained from Paul's face. He had just handcuffed the head of FBI operations. He had detained a federal official without any probable cause. He had treated a senior law enforcement professional like a criminal because a hotel clerk got nervous about seeing cash. He had made comments that were caught on body camera that suggested racial profiling. He had ignored procedure. He had let his assumptions guide his actions instead of evidence. The body camera footage was reviewed. Every word Paul said was examined. His tone, his questions, his implications. The way he told Natalia that people say they work in federal operations to make themselves sound important. The slight smile on his face when he said it. All of it was there, recorded, undeniable. The aftermath was swift and brutal. Paul Kuiper was suspended within 48 hours. A full investigation was launched into his conduct. The review board found that he had violated multiple department policies. He had detained a citizen without probable cause. He had used language that suggested racial bias. He had failed to properly verify the claims of the person who called 911. He had ignored standard procedure for hotel disturbance calls. The investigation did not stop with Paul. It went further. It looked at his entire history. Other complaints came to light, other incidents where he had been too aggressive. Other situations where he had let assumptions guide his actions. The pattern was clear. Paul Kuiper was terminated from the police department. His career was over. 8 years on the force ended because he could not treat a black woman with basic respect. He could not follow simple procedure. He could not consider the possibility that a person with cash might just be a person with cash and nothing more. Carlos Sweets was treated differently. The investigation found that while he was present during the incident, he had not participated in the improper conduct. He had not made inappropriate comments. He had not pushed for the detention. His body camera had recorded everything honestly. He was given a written warning for not intervening but was allowed to keep his job. He would later say that the night changed him. He became more vocal about procedure. He became the kind of officer who would speak up when things were going wrong. But the consequences did not stop with the police department. The Grand View Hotel faced its own reckoning. Judy Myers had made a false report to 911. She had called the police on a guest who had committed no crime. She had provided no evidence of wrongdoing. She had simply seen a black woman with cash and assumed the worst. The hotel was investigated by state licensing authorities. It was found that staff had not received proper training on discrimination and customer relations. The management had failed to establish clear policies about when to involve law enforcement. The front desk worker had made a decision that led to a federal official being wrongfully detained in their establishment. The hotel's license to operate was revoked. The state pulled their permit. A business that had been running for years was shut down because of one phone call made by one employee who could not handle seeing a black woman pay for a room with cash. The hotel was also hit with massive fines. The total amount reached into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. The owners tried to appeal. They argued that they should not be punished for the actions of one employee, but the appeals failed. The decision stood. Natalia W. Woodruff released a statement after everything was settled. She did not go on television. She did not write a book. She did not try to become famous from what happened to her. She simply said that she hoped this incident would serve as a reminder that bias exists in all parts of society and that everyone has a responsibility to challenge it when they see it. She went back to work. She continued running FBI operations. She kept doing her job. This story teaches us something important. You never know who you are dealing with. The person you dismiss might be more powerful than you can imagine. The person you judge might be living a life you cannot understand. The assumptions you make might be completely wrong. Paul Kuiper assumed that a black woman with cash must be involved in something illegal. That assumption destroyed his career. Judy Myers assumed that a black woman checking in late must be suspicious. That assumption destroyed her employer's business. The body camera caught everything. The truth could not be hidden. The evidence was clear. Type justice in the comments if you believe that the right people faced consequences in this story. This is what happens when you let bias guide your actions. This is what happens when you forget that every person deserves to be treated with dignity. This is what happens when you make someone prove their innocence instead of presuming it. Natalia W. Woodruff was just trying to get some rest. She was off duty. She was tired. She was dealing with family matters. She wanted to sleep in a nice hotel room. That was all. And two people decided to turn that simple thing into a nightmare. But the nightmare came back for them. The body camera saw everything. The timestamp recorded the moment. The evidence spoke for itself. December 10th, 2019. The night Paul Kuiper signed his own suspension by handcuffing the wrong woman. If you made it this far in the story, drop a comment letting me know what part shocked you the most. And make sure you are subscribed so you do not miss the next story. These true incidents need to be told. People need to know what happens when power is abused and when assumptions replace evidence. Stay safe out there and remember that the camera is always watching.